everyone, in this lesson of the humanistic approach, we take a look at how to apply the assumptions to different scenarios. So in this session, you'll have an opportunity to apply your specialist terminology for the approach, to practice your AO2 application exam skills, and do some revision of what you already know about the humanistic approach. So let's check your learning so far with some multiple choice questions. To answer the question as we go through, what does the humanistic approach assume about people? And the correct answer is that they are all unique. So well done if you got that correct. Question 2, which of the following is the peak of the hierarchy of needs? And of course the answer to that is self-actualization. Question 3, which of the following is the lowest level of the hierarchy of needs? Now, physiological needs is what's on the lowest part. Well done if you got that correct. What is the term for someone who has an ideal self that differs a lot to their actual self? Some confusing terms there, some misleading ones as well, but the correct answer is A, incongruence. And last question, conditions of worth are, pick an answer A, B, C or D that is the correct explanation of what conditions of worth are. And the correct answer is A, when someone only receives positive regard from others if they meet criteria. So well done if you got some of those correct. Let's take this a step further. To test your knowledge even more, read the terms or features of the approach A to E on the left-hand side of the screen, and in 60 seconds, match them to 1 to 5 on the right-hand side of the screen. Your time for this challenge starts now. Okay, and here are the correct pairings, and you can compare your answers to these. Give yourself a tick if you got any correct. Now, one of the crucial skills in your writing and exams is using specialist terminology appropriately and accurately. So read through the following summaries of the humanistic approach and identify where specialist terms could have been used to improve the quality of the answer. So here's example number 1. Pause the video for 5 minutes while you rewrite the example on your worksheet, but add in the correct terminology. Here's what it looks like with some specialist terms. So instead of approach, we've actually referred to humanistic approach to give it the correct context. Instead of saying different to each other, we're going to use the humanistic language and say unique. Instead of experiences, we're going to use humanistic language again and say subjective experiences. We're going to swap Maslow's stages for Maslow's hierarchy of needs, things for needs, meeting the stages for fulfilling the criteria, and we're going to swap own potential with self-actualization. So overall, the specialist terms have improved the quality of the answer. They would improve any mark awarded as well. Even though to begin with, the example was accurate, it just goes to show how important those specialist terms are. So let's try that again. Read example number 2, Pause the video again while you rewrite the example on your worksheet, but adding in those specialist terms. And here's some suggestions. So we're going to swap approach for humanistic approach. Hit the top has been swapped for reach self-actualization. Themselves has been swapped for the actual self, just using humanistic terms. Who they want to be has been swapped for their ideal self. Massive becomes too big, and inconsistency becomes incongruent. And again, the specialist terms have really helped to improve the quality of the example. Let's practice some of your AO2 application skills. So Jerome is talking to his therapist about his childhood. He tells the therapist that during his childhood he was always criticised by his parents, except for when he was telling them jokes. As an adult, Jerome has struggled with depression and feelings of worthlessness. Use your knowledge of the humanistic approach to explain why Jerome may be experiencing these difficulties as an adult. So for 3 marks, we want you to apply your knowledge and read the scenario carefully to pull out any prompts that they've provided. Pause the video for 5 minutes while you write your answer down. And here's a suggested answer that you could use to compare your own to. So this answer is nice and concise. It doesn't give a rendition of Maslow's hierarchy of needs or conditions of worth, but the focus is on application and using the knowledge and understanding the correct way. Here's another question to have a go at, so let's try that again. Read the scenario carefully, answer the question, earn 3 marks by demonstrating your knowledge, understanding and application skills. And here's a suggested answer for that question. So the teacher's trying to implement the humanistic approach and ideas about congruence. The teacher's recognising that if Davude's actual current grade is too different to his target grade, that he is likely to experience a lot of disappointment and may even disengage from trying to reach his target. By setting a more realistic target grade, the teacher's encouraging Davude to have congruence and therefore stay motivated to improve his grades and reach his gradually changing targets. So again, lots of application, and target setting and congruence might be something that you could refer to as a positive implication of the humanistic approach as well. Now, you could also be asked questions on how psychology has had positive implications or negative on the economy. And it's also important that you know how each approach, each study and each theory has contributed to society and our understanding of human behaviour. And one positive contribution of the humanistic approach is the development of person-centred therapy. So research this therapy, find out what it's all about, and summarise what might happen during typical person-centred therapy sessions. Pause the video for 15 minutes while you have a look into person-centred therapy, and it's worthwhile spending the time on this because this is going to be one of the things that you might use in your evaluation or you might use as a positive implication on the economy. So here's an overview of what might happen in a typical person-centred therapy, and hopefully you managed to spot these things as well in your research. So a client and a therapist will build up a good relationship, which is crucial in terms of trusting each other and having open communication. The goal of the sessions is to aid the personal growth of the client. The client's supported to understand their issues and how to overcome them, and it's really important that you know that the therapist only acts as a guide. So the therapist in this scenario will not give any specific answers or interpretations about someone's behaviour or thoughts. They're merely there to guide someone to come to their own answers. The therapist can provide empathy and unconditional positive regard for the client. So if somebody's experienced conditions of worth, then the therapist can actually act as somebody who can try and satisfy some of those things that were missed out on. And together they explore issues that may be affecting the balance of the client's self-concept. So if who a person thinks they are and their real self and their ideal self aren't aligned with each other, then during person-centred therapy, this is a good opportunity to reach that alignment with some help. So you could use this therapy as a strength of the humanistic approach, a contribution of the approach, especially since it's been used a lot to help people with mental health conditions. So let's see if you can use person-centered therapy in an AO2 style exam question. Use your knowledge of the humanistic approach to suggest why ARIA may benefit from person-centered therapy. And this question's worth 3 marks. So pause the video for 5 minutes while you attempt to answer the question on your worksheet, and do avoid the temptation to simply talk about what person-centered therapy is. Focus on ARIA, what her problems are, and what she might get out of going to the sessions. So here's a suggested answer. So a good answer that doesn't talk about person-centered therapy, doesn't evaluate person-centered therapy, but what it does do is apply it very well to ARIA.